Okay, there we
You're
go.
buying.
Okay.
I want ice cream.
Hello and welcome to the qualifications of our last map review, which was Dark Tower. And if you know anything about our previous videos, we have a 5 stars maximum, 1 star minimum. After we do a playthrough, we do a review of it. And, of course, we start with our first of the stars. The number infected in this campaign. Underwhelming, overwhelming, or the right amount? We'll start this time with Keo. How did you feel about that?
Bullshit.
Well, when it comes to the infected, I didn't actually mind it. It did get to an overwhelming amount, but it was an entertainingly overwhelming amount.
So, well, this is the thing. Was it overwhelming to the point where it was like no stars, or do you still want to give it a half a star just based on it?
I want to give it a star, half a star at least.
So you,
I found it in. I think the map would not work as well as it did without that.
Okay.
Almost every 2 seconds.
Well, okay, I'm gonna qualify that as a half a star then. Dread, how about you?
Where?
Is it underwhelming, overwhelming, or the right amount? It's the very first thing we talk about. It's the infected of the campaign.
Tuna fish of the campaign?
Dread, just answer the fucking question.
There's no tuna fish. Give a number.
I'm gonna go with Keo and give it a half a star.
Okay, and I'm gonna do that too. Mainly the reason is the way we started. We started out with handguns. Well, we started out with just handguns, and it stayed that way for the longest period of time, and it seemed like a lot of the parts were becoming really overwhelming with it. And we'll get down to the difficulty later. I want to give it a half a star because it was overwhelming at times. But there were other times where it was underwhelming and it felt the right amount, so for the most part, I'll give it a half a star. I can't give it a full, though.
It did kind of hit all the ranges on that list.
Yeah.
So.
It started out overwhelming, it hit underwhelming in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden it hit the right amount. So I can only give it about half a star based on that, because it was so many different levels. Okay, length of the campaign. Too short, too long? What do you think, Keo?
It felt about right. I mean, it was about an hour long, and that's about how long a campaign I feel should be on normal.
Okay, so you give it a full star there. Dread, how about you?
I'll give it a full star too.
Okay, so I have to agree. It was just the right amount. I mean, we had an hour and 5 minutes, I guess it was, to complete the whole thing. And at times it did feel a little long, but those were specific parts, and the next one would be really, really short. So it kind of balanced itself out. So I gotta give it a full star. Okay, the third one, difficulty fitting. And as before, if it's on difficulty fitting, well, if it was normal, does it feel right for that difficulty? Keo, what did you think?
Well, it felt normal, I guess, if it had better weapons to start with.
Well,
starting with pistols.
Well, what do you think? It was just not enough weapons in an area when it started, then it's become too much? Or was it like, do you think it's a half a star kind of thing?
I'd say half a star.
Okay. You, Dread?
We needed better weapons at the beginning.
I'm going to go on a limb and say you probably don't want to give this a star, do you?
Well, for difficulty?
Yeah.
I'll give it like half a star.
Okay.
There were lots of witches, but they didn't want to play house with me.
You didn't have house-playing weapons, though.
Exactly.
They just kept trying to give me hugs when I don't want hugs.
Okay, I kind of agree with both of you. It started out really hard. Even on normal difficulty.
Fucking tank at the beginning with just handguns?
That's quite a take with handguns.
Yeah,
that's how you do that.
Akimbo style, yeah. Yeah, it started off with just handguns. It didn't give us a whole lot of health items right at the beginning. It didn't give us any other weapon for like the first couple of parts. We managed to find a shotgun, and a bot takes it from us. And then later on, Later on, we did kind of get the weapons that we needed. But it's
kind of like a polarized map, wasn't it? The first time was like, no, You don't get weapons. In the second half, like, heal! Have the fucking weapons. Take them.
Yeah, and I like maps that are like that, but at the same time, that's like it feels like it's a progression map in that sense. And if the first part is too difficult, when they threw a tank at us, yeah, that's where I have to draw a line. It's a half a star. If you're gonna throw a tank at us, make sure you give us a weapon that we can actually kill the fucking tank with. I mean, we have projectiles. There was none in the first map. We didn't have any other weapon but handguns. We didn't even have a melee. So I have to give it a half a star on that.
So I kind of will say, in its defense, it wasn't like a small corridor. You had a very wide open area.
Well, yeah, we could
fight the tank.
Yeah, but it's still, even at that, we have a tank following us with probably the worst weapon in the game.
Yeah, there was a horde at the same time.
Yeah, that didn't help. So in terms of difficulty, I have to give it a half a star because that whole first part of that map just kind of brung it down. It showed what it had to offer immediately. Even on normal difficulty, it felt like it was all suddenly advanced.
Actually, if the tank was actually smart, it would try hitting the logs at us, and that would make it harder.
Well, we didn't play a versus map, though. So we were lucky. Otherwise, we would never complete that in versus.
This is a versus map that is completely geared towards the infected.
Yeah, I could see this running as a good versus map for the infected, not for the survivors. Anyway, we all give it a half a star there. The next one is design of the map. Does it stay in theme with the map name? Keo, what'd you think?
Well, seeing as I don't have much knowledge on the source material the map is based on, it seemed to do fairly well.
Okay, so
it had a western theme to it that it kind of kept with the entire way through.
Okay.
I mean, they had the old western mines, the old western town. I give full star for that.
Alright. Dread, what'd you think?
Thought it was okay. I don't know jack shit about Stephen King, but all I do know about is that there's supposed to be a magical black person that tells us all the right answers. And we didn't find
Does
out.
it give it a half star, full star, or no star?
I'll give it a full star.
Okay. I'll give it a full star. I've never read the book. If they made a movie out of the Gunslinger, Dark Tower, I never seen it. It was something that was new. I think it stayed within theme, because with the Gunslinger name, it seemed like a Western kind of style place to be in, so it kind of works, I guess. And it stayed within theme for the most part of the whole thing.
Well, there wasn't a giant spaceship in the middle of the old west town, so it worked.
It worked, except that ending. Suddenly, book. Anyway,
Well, I think that was more of an eye and a wink to, yeah, this is a book, go read it, asshole.
It could have been. But yes, it was staying within theme for the most part. Even the book had the name, The Gunslinger, on it, so it stayed within theme. And finally, the recommendation part. Do we all recommend it? We'll start
Yes.
with... Okay, that's obvious that Keo says yes. Dread? Dread?
I don't think he recommends it then.
Do you recommend it?
I recommend it because of how fucking crazy it was.
And I do too. I just love that ending.
The finale is that we escape on a giant book that says Gunslinger.
Yeah, and that's what made its redeeming for me. I wouldn't have recommended it at first if it didn't have that. Now here's why. That map, you pretty much have to know where you're supposed to go. Otherwise, you can get lost. And
I would give it 2 stars if at the end a tank just spawns out on the book and knocks you off.
Out of 5 stars, you would give it almost 6. Okay,
if that happened.
Yeah, if it happened.
I think what he means is it actually is 6 out of 5 if that was true.
Yeah. But the reason why I wouldn't have recommended it is if it wasn't for the ending, that map is really huge. You pretty much have to search everywhere, and even though you have a lot of time and a lot of exploration, there's hordes coming after you. It's going to make it really tough to get through the campaign. Even on easy difficulty, I could actually see this being tougher.
Dude, during the second part, we just opened the door and there was non-stop horde.
Yeah, there's stuff like that.
All the exploration bits were kind of pointless, because they had plenty of places where they could have hidden the weapons we needed.
Yeah.
They just didn't.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of was thinking I wouldn't have recommended it on that point, but that ending kind of redeemed it for me because, well, they set up just like a good
I also
finale.
noticed something while we were playing.
Well, hold on to that thought because I'm still trying to give mine. I give it a full star based on the fact of that ending. That ending was perfect. We didn't know where to start the finale, but when we did, we knew where we had to stay, where we had to keep killing all the zombies, set up a strategy. The only thing that it didn't do was tell us where the fuck to find where we go on to whatever it was. At the time, we didn't know it was a book. Then I happened just to find it. And
actually, from your point of view, it actually just looked like a dock.
Well, yeah, it looked like a doc at first, and then we kind of seen it was a book. I could see like the Stephen King authorization on there, like his words, and I have to say that was the remaining that and the mine itself. Even though it had a labyrinth, it was still enough to where it felt like it was right place, and it wasn't hard to get lost in. It gave you arrows, it told you where to go. It's just the start of it, we were lost. It took us a long time before we could find the buildings that we needed to go to for the safe room. And when we did, we realized the next part, we're starting right from there, and we could go right to the first part of the game. So it was kind of making us think we're lost. So I can see why people might not like it, and I can understand why many people won't recommend it. I can recommend it just because of the ending and how they did the work for it. Because I have never read the book. At the same time, it makes me want to read it.
Read the book.
But this map does make me want to read it just to see how these guys, if they did the same thing like from start to finish, who were the survivors of that book.
Crazy if in the end of the book you actually do escape on a giant book.
It is Stephen King, so maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all of our stars, and all of us are in the same agreement. We all gave it 4 stars out of 5.
Actually, there is one thing I want to point out.
Go ahead, Dread.
I did notice that when I was at 1 health, when I was way behind you assholes, that the common were just ignoring me until I healed.
Well, that's AI, though. That's more of an AI problem.
I've never seen that before, though.
It happens. It happens, though.
It's just the bad coding for the AI, really.
Yeah, that's AI difficulty. That's not part of the map. It might be a little bit, but not too much. So we all gave it the same amount of stars, 4 out of 5. That's our overall rating, and we do recommend you guys play it. If you want to do it smartly, though, play it blind. Don't even watch our playthrough at that point, because it's the only way to play it.
If they're watching this part of the video,
true,
they've already watched the other bits.
But what I'm trying to say is, if you've seen the videos, take your friends in it and have them go out and don't even try to help them. Because I guarantee you, that's the best way to play this map. It is a blind map from the start, especially if you never read the books.
Especially if you play with someone who wants to always take the lead, no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the best way, because then he can't figure out what the fuck to do. I mean, yeah, they gave us point
that the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, I had to take a lead just to kind of just say, we're going this way, because it's the only way I'm thinking of.
Wait, that's an error. We're going that way.
Half the time when I was taking the lead, it was so I could cover you guys.
Yeah, and it was stuff like that. So anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. If you're going to play this map, and I guarantee you'll enjoy even playing multiple times, make sure you take friends that have never read the book and have never played the map and never seen our video of it.
If you get enough people, though, you'll have a blast with the versus.
That, and especially versus. This is a versus map, hands down. If you really want to farm for achievements, this is probably the only map that's going to be able to let you do that, too.
Oh, God. Tank ball on that map.
Exactly. Would be amazing.
That'll be fun. But yes, we recommend this map, and I hope you guys enjoy playing it. You can find it at leftfordmaps.com. Anyway, peace.